Robert S. Ruddy. Godfather.
Welcome back to The Better Half. I'm Bradley J. Halverson, and here with me, she's the middle daughter of the Corio family. It's Carly Corio. Hi, Carly.
Carly Corleo. Hi, I'm good. How are you, Brad?
Can't complain, which is a new feeling for me.
Yeah, that's different.
I am excited about this episode, Carly.
Me too. I'm just glad that I finally watched The Godfather after
Yes.
33 years.
Were you there in Kansas when we tried to watch this as a big group?
I just don't count that. We were literally, for our listeners, we were in like the biggest room possible and had this big open room and a bunch of us were in there, but like we didn't watch it. It was just on.
No way. It was definitely first time sort of sitting down, paying attention to what the heck this movie's about. And this is a big one. Like, this is gotta be one of the most influential films of all time. So I hope our podcast episode does it justice. I hope we have the same sort of level of respect and reverence for this film as it's garnered over the years. But, without further ado, let's get right into it. We're here today to talk about The Godfather.
The Godfather.
Released in 1972, directed by Francis Ford Coppola. It won Best Picture at the 45th Academy Awards, which took place on March 27th, 1973.
This movie is the first installment in the Godfather trilogy, which chronicles the Corleone family under Patriarch Vito Corleone and the transformation of his youngest son, Michael Corleone, from reluctant family outsider to ruthless mafia boss.
Love. There's obviously a lot to, I think, set up and establish here before we even get in the recap. But I'm curious, Carly, what is your relationship to sort of like mafia, mob movies, stories? Like, you think about this, you think about The Sopranos. These are like often talked about as like the greatest movie and the greatest TV show. Like, Americans love these kinds of stories.
Are you asking me because I'm Italian or just because? What kind of answer do you want from me?
I'm wondering if you're drawn to these types of stories. And then, we are going to be following a sprawling Italian-American family.
I'm familiar. A lot of babies.
And so, I guess my follow-up question, did you feel seen?
I did. Oh, loved it. The wedding, I was like, I've been to one of these,
Your sister's weddings, were they that big?
They were both very big. They were not outside. The receptions were not outside like this one, and there was no murder outside of it, but pretty close. My dad did not make any life or death decisions, but it was pretty similar.
Okay.
But no, I think in general, like, especially where I grew up in southern Ohio, where like obviously in Northeast Ohio, where I am now, there's a lot of Italian culture. But down in Troy, where I grew up, like, there wasn't a lot of diversity in culture or skin tone. And so, like, a family of the Corios, and we all had, like, tan, olive skin, and dark hair. We grew up with a lot of blondies. So I think just being Italian, we were very proud of it. My dad is completely 50% pure Italian. Pure 50% Italian. His dad full Italian. Yeah. So Italian culture is something I definitely grew up around. I'm very proud of it. Cooking on holidays with my grandparents and my dad and my Italian family is a big thing. So I've always been very proud of that. There's always been like the mob jokes, kind of thing. And I think there was always like jokes growing up about like, oh, your dad's in the mob, ha ha ha, and things like that. But not that the mob is something to joke about. But there were always, just like insinuations of, oh, you're Italian, your dad's in the mob. But so I have always enjoyed Italian culture, and my dad is a big fan of the Godfather, and I just think it's always been kind of something I've been interested in, wanted to watch, and I'm really glad I watched it.
Did you feel this film was full of stereotypes, or did you think it authentically captured the Italian-American experience?
I don't know. Of course, in the 70s, I'm sure it was different, and I'm sure in the New York 70s, an Italian-American experience is much different than mine. So I don't know for sure, especially like my Italian heritage is Sicilian. So it was cool to see all the Sicilian people and just they go to Sicily in the movie. So I think it was cool to see kind of that side of Italian culture, knowing that is kind of where my Italian culture comes from. But I thought it was very cool. I think compared to all the mobster movies I've ever seen, it seemed realistic.
Okay. You're going to be our resident expert as we...
Oh, yeah. Ask me anything about Italian culture or spaghetti. I will answer it.
I wouldn't say I'm, like, drawn to these types of stories. Like, I've grown up hearing about The Godfather, and left with the impression that people regard this as probably one of the greatest films of all time, So it's no surprise that it's here on the Best Picture winner list, but that people look at this movie as like, this is truly cinema. Like, it raised the bar and the standard for filmmaking.
Yeah.
The performances, the story, everything. Like, this movie is such on a pedestal.
Yeah.
So it really was like a bit of a fun journey to actually sit down and see what the heck is everyone talking about. Like,
what are they talking about? And I mean, anytime you look up anything, obviously we both did research on the movie, I'm sure. Like, you just see, like, notoriously, people say it's one of the, if not the best movie ever made. Like, it's recognized everywhere. And throughout watching it, I was like, ooh, I can't wait to see, like, all the cool stuff they do and how they've changed cinema. Yeah, I'm excited to dig into it. It was a long movie, which I always knew it was, but...
Last episode, we talked about Driving Miss Daisy being, like, the third shortest, and we went from that to this being one of the longer Best Picture winners at about, like, 2 hours, 55 minutes, I want to say. Like, it just was about hitting the 3-hour mark.
But it's not the longest?
Yeah, it's not the longest. I believe part 2 actually will be, like, 3 hours, 20-something minutes, and there's longer pictures, of course, the longest being Gone with the Wind, which is nearly 4 hours, like 3 hours, 55 minutes. So,
oh my God, I should start watching that now.
The Godfather, this is based off of a novel written by Mario Puzo, and both Francis Coppola and Mario Puzo like worked on the screenplay for this as well. And this was a big deal for Paramount Pictures. They really needed a banger, and
they found it.
That Coppola delivered. So
I also read that Paramount bought the rights to this for only $80,000.
Nuts.
And I don't know, like, I guess I don't know how much you buy rights for these days, but that seems very low. But also in the 70s, it probably was, like, pretty high.
Yeah, I think as a film studio, like, buying the film rights to a story, it's like, you never know if you're really going to strike gold or not. It's like the more money you put forth is obviously a reflection of a bigger faith in the product. And I would say, based on my research, like, there was definitely a lot of eyes on this production, a lot of sort of tension with the director, with the story ultimately meeting all the studio's demands. And so there was a lot of pressure on this movie to perform big. And so perhaps Paramount wanted to buy it for a slow amount. And obviously, if it overperforms and is a box office smash, then they become the winners here.
Yeah, good gamble.
Yeah, exactly. Worked for them. So this is, a 3-hour epic and a huge ensemble cast. There's about 80 freaking different characters here. The most prominent being an older Marlon Brando is here playing the titular character. And I don't know if this is Al Pacino's breakout role, but this is obviously what is Al Pacino best known for. And young Diane Keaton's here. Those are kind of the names I recognize.
Very young. Yeah, those are definitely the biggest. I mean, James Caan, I know, mostly because of Elf, but those are the big names. And I feel like those are the names that you associate with The Godfather. Yeah. Like, if you know The Godfather, you know Al Pacino, you know Marlon Brando. And everybody else, like Diane Keaton, I did not know was in this movie. So that's pretty cool. Same. Yeah, and I do have to say Al Pacino, all I ever think of when I say Al Pacino is Friends. When Joey has to play Al Pacino's butt. And that's all I think about. Every time I see the name, hear the name, I just think of Joey playing his butt.
Yeah. I go into the shower, then I'm his butt. Anything else that you want to set up, Carly, before we recap this bitch?
I just want to say that every scene in this movie was so well done. And I'm sure that's a big part of it. But I just, as we go through it, like, the more I watched and the more scenes that went by, I was like, every scene gives you so much meat, you know? So that's what I want to start with, because this opening scene was huge for me. And so I wanted to start with that, and let's get rolling. Yeah,
well, we are going to start off with an impressive set piece, like a huge Italian wedding here in what looks to be the summer of 1945. And I want to say just from the jump, like I knew a wedding took place in this movie. Like I feel like I just had heard that growing up. And
the day of my daughter's wedding.
Yes. Part of me was like, maybe because of that whole Game of Thrones effect, I was like, oh my God, what's going to go down at this wedding? Is it going to be a real wed wedding kind of deal? So if anything, I thought this might happen like later in the movie. Like, this is something we're building up to, and there would be some sort of like huge thing. But I will say, no, this wedding is pretty much just a wedding. It really is like an impressive way to start a film, because like every major character that you kind of need to know is here at the wedding. You're going to get sort of character moments and beats, and there's like hundreds of extras in the background. Like, just thinking about it from a filmmaking standpoint, like wow, like way to just start high with like the technical elements of this film.
And a lot of kids in this movie. A lot of the extras in this movie,
I hated that.
like I know, I knew you would. And I mean, and the babies are always crying in this fucking movie.
Ugh.
But no, I mean, every family scene, like they just have so many children, which I know is like playing very true to an Italian American family.
Yeah.
But I thought that was very interesting. So this opening wedding scene lasted 27 minutes. It was a long scene from start to finish. The first scene, when you first open, it's just Marlon Brando in his office. He's like talking to some guy. This guy's asking him for
a favor. Yeah,
exactly. Asking me a favor on the day of my daughter's wedding. And he wants him to go kill someone because his daughter got hurt. And he's like, I want justice. And Marlon Brando says, that's not justice. Your daughter didn't die. This scene was maybe 5 minutes long, and it was the opening scene, and then they cut to this wedding, and that's really the rest of the opener. But I just thought, like, in this, again, every single scene was like this. It gave you so much context. It gave you, you know, how much respect people have for Don Vito.
Yep.
He does bad things, but he does them fairly. Like, he has justice and he has organization. You saw how he has people around him. You learned about his family. It was like in the first 5 minutes, I just thought it was like such a good opening scene.
Yeah, well said. I do think like we established the things that we need to know about Don Vito Corleone immediately from this first scene where this Undertaker guy, is asking for a favor. He wants, as you said, justice. He wants to see these two guys be murdered for the assault of his daughter. And Don Vito is not quick to say like, yeah, it's a lot of like, you come to me on the day of my daughter's wedding. On my daughter's birthday? Disgusting.
On my daughter's birthday? Seriously,
Disgusting.
Brett? Disgusting. Shout out to anyone who knows what we're talking about.
He's like, you don't even call me Godfather. Like, you get immediately like what's important to him. Loyalty is important to this guy, and he is surrounded by his family who he is very loyal to and people who are loyal to him. And he doesn't just do anything for free. He expects something. And, you know, he agrees eventually to this Undertaker's request, like, oh yeah, we'll pop these two guys. And as he's sort of ushering him out the door, he's like, at some point in the future, I may or may not ask you for a favor in return. And Undertaker guy is just so thankful, like, oh my God, yes. And he kind of gets ushered out, and you can kind of see that there's like a long line of like guys just waiting to come talk to Don Vito, and they're all rehearsing what they're going to say and things like that. So you get the vibe immediately of the level of respect that Vito receives, and he's the kind of guy that can make things happen. You need something from him, he can make it happen, but it won't be for free. And he's not a real dick about it either.
No.
He is truly like a businessman. And he's holding all these meetings inside while this huge reception, this wedding reception is taking place outside. So I'm going to do my best here for you, the listener, to kind of guide you through the characters you need to know about and who's at this wedding, to kind of go through the family tree, if you will. So obviously we have our patriarch, Don Vito Corleone, played by Marlon Brando. He has an advisor. His name is Tom Hagen. And a little bit of an adopted son situation. So he's there to provide counsel. He's always going to be in these meetings. He's heavily involved in the organization. And Don Vito has 4 children, 3 boys and a girl. Kind of the inverse of...
of the Don Corios.
Eldest son, we got Santino, commonly called Sonny, played by James Caan, as you said, and he is very involved in the family business. He's going to be inside the room as these meetings are taking place. He's married, but we're also going to see here at the wedding him having a little tryst, handing off with one of the little bridesmaids. The middle son, Fredo, also I think plays a role in the company, but he doesn't have the instincts for it. He's not all in.
Yeah.
And he's not hugely important to the story, I would say. The daughter, Connie, this is her wedding, of course. She's getting married to a guy named Carlo. And Connie also not a huge part in the movie, I would say. But she definitely, there's a B plot going on. And we'll check in on there. So it's Connie and Carlo's wedding. And then we have the youngest son, Michael, played by Al Pacino. He is not going to be on time for this wedding. He is going to show up late. He is a World War II vet. So he's going to show up in full uniform. And he's going to have a pretty lady on his arm, Kay Adams, played by Diane Keaton. And my impression is that like she's like meeting the family for the first time. Like this, like nobody knows he's dating her, and he's like bringing her to the wedding for the first time, which I thought was like bold move, Michael, especially showing up late to it.
A big first meet.
Yeah, Michael, we're gonna learn he's not that interested in the family business, not that into it. And Kay Adams, she's gonna be like the audience proxy. She's gonna be asking the questions that we're asking about this family and how it operates, how it works, and what's Michael's relationship to it. And before we get there, we got to touch on some important members of the organization, okay? We already established Tom Hagen, he's the advisor. We're going to have Clemenza and Tessio. These are like lieutenants, captains, capos, if you will. And then we have Luca, he's an enforcer. And we have Paulie, who is Vito's bodyguard. At one point, an important singer guy comes in, Johnny, also like the godson of Don Vito. But when he shows up, like all the little girls like scream as if like Elvis Presley walked in himself, and like
it was a Justin Bieber Beatles moment. Like,
so he gets up there and starts singing or whatever, and Kay Adams like, "Oh my God, Johnny's here! You got Johnny? Like you got little Sebastian?" And she was like, "What's the deal there?" And Michael explains like, "Oh yeah, you know, he is the godson to my father." And he at one point like was a musician, but like locked into a contract, and he asked my dad for help to help him get him out so he can sort of break off and do his own thing in the entertainment industry. And basically my dad went in and met with his agent and basically made him an offer he couldn't refuse. And Kay's like, "Oh, that's a funny way to say it." That's cute. What does that mean? And he was like, basically he said it's either going to be your signature on this contract or your brains.
Or your brains. Well, and I guess he said, he's like, we offered him $10,000 and he said no. So we went in there and talked to him, and we left, and he took $1,000 and said yes. And that's when she's like, "Wait, so how did that happen?" And she's like, "Well, we made him an offer. He can't refuse."
Can't refuse.
I loved that. Either your brains or signature will be on the contract.
Yeah. I think this is interesting because I don't know how much Kay knows about the family's reputation. I don't really know, like, is she clued in? But hearing Michael tell these stories that kind of on paper sound horrifying, you know, she does get this expression on her face, but Michael, and I thought this was important, he's very quick to say, like, "That's my family, Kay, that's not me."
Yep, that's exactly what I was just going to say. I have it written down, and I think, like you said, that was very big.
Yeah.
Because she is just kind of like, whoa. Ooh. And, I mean, it basically is the arc of the movie is Michael's arc. So to see that this is how he starts the movie, I thought was a very powerful line.
Yeah, we're going to be following Michael on a journey here, and this is where it starts. The thing about Vito Corleone is he loves his family and he's loyal to his children, and like he'll say at one point he loves to spoil them. Like he really is like a father figure to them, and I don't think he ever holds it against Michael for sort of having other interests in life and not wanting to necessarily be a part of the family's organization. And really, I haven't mentioned this either, but Don Vito, of course, is the head of this Corleone family, but he's also the head of the 5 major families. Not every family is a huge part of this role. I would say the 2 major ones we're going to be dealing with is the Tattaglias and Barzinis. But Don Vito's in charge of all of them. He is the Don for that reason. Nobody else would hold the title of Don. And so the only other, I think, important meeting to mention that we see Vito have is with Johnny, the singer, who is like in his office crying, and Don Vito's like, "Man up." You know, a lot of machismo stuff, stuff I can relate to as a masculine man myself. And Johnny's big problem, he really wants this role in a movie. I'm like, he's being rejected for a role in a major production, and this producer guy, Waltz, he won't let him in the movie, and he's like, "Help me out." And Don Vito's like, "Jesus Christ, kid." Yeah,
it was very, and even I was like, okay, like, right. You can't earn something yourself. So when he said, like, "Okay, I'll figure it out, but like, get a grip," it was very funny.
There's a lot that happens at the wedding. Again, this is a huge set piece. We're going to see them taking photos. We're going to see like FBI agents are like stationed outside the wedding. They won't allow any flash photography. There's like, I think Paulie's the one running around smacking cameras out of
smacking cameras.
Carly, anything else that you want to mention about the wedding before we move forward?
No, those were all of my notes, other than at one point somebody asked for the gabagool, and I thought that was something we should note.
Yeah. Why do I feel like I know what the gabagool is, but...
There's a funny line in The Office about it. When they go to that dinner with that guy and they think he's like a mobster. And he's
That's right. The episode's called Mafia, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And the guy orders something and he's like, "I want it on the side. If it's not on the side, I send it back." And so then they go to Michael and he orders and he's like, "I want the gabagool." And he's like, "The what?" "The gabagool. If it's not on the side, I send it back." And they're like trying to act like this like New York guy. Yeah. So that's probably where you know it from, but it's also just like a very common like Italian word. Yeah.
Well, let's pull at this Johnny film producing thing, because it really is just like a small arc in this movie. But I think its intention is to demonstrate the power of Don Vito. And so he's going to send Tom Hagen, his advisor, his counselor, to go meet with this film producer guy, this Waltz guy. And so that's what we're going to see next, is like Tom meeting with the producer being like, listen, I'm here representing someone important, and his godson, Johnny, whoever, wants to be in your movie. And this producer is like, no, like, absolutely not. Sorry, not going to happen. And that's not the end of the story. You know, we're going to, they're like at a film studio a lot when this initial conversation is happening. We're then going to kind of cut to this producer's home, and they're like walking outside on the grounds. And so he's getting like a house tour, and they stop by the stables, and he was like, let me show you the most beautiful thing you're ever going to see. Look at this horse. Isn't this the most precious, most beautiful horse on the planet? Don't you wish that nothing bad happens to this horse whatsoever? And Tom's like, yeah, cool horse, dude.
Yeah, I like it. Thank you. Well, and he basically, when he was like, you should have told me about, the Don, he was like, I'm still not doing it, but you should have told me, kind of thing. So he was very set in his ways. And yeah, it was just the perfect setup. It was like in any like TV thing where somebody's like leaving and they're like, by the way, I love you a lot and can't wait to live life the rest of our lives together. You're like, oh shit, something bad's going to happen to this guy.
Yeah. This is Chekhov's horse for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, Tom's spending the entire day here trying to persuade this man to do exactly what Don Vito wants. And so they also like have dinner that night or whatever. The producer guy really is 10 toes down about this. He's like, the answer is no. I don't even like this Johnny guy. He insulted me. He insulted my pride at some point. So the answer is just flat out no. And so Tom's like, all right then. Well, I got to head back immediately. And he's like, whoa, what's the rush? And he was like, Don Vito always wants to know bad information right away. I assume this is the next morning. I don't even know. It's a nice, beautiful, sunny day. We're going to start zooming in through the windows of this beautiful mansion into this beautiful, ornate bedroom. And our producer guy is in bed, and he's under nice silk sheets or whatever. And we're going to see Waltz sort of start to stir awake, and then you just kind of see his head, and then he's like, huh, like he looks confused, and we don't know why. And then he pulls his hands out, and they're soaked in blood. And he whips off the sheets to discover his beautiful, decapitated horse's head just rotting in his bed with him. He appropriately screams his head off.
Right.
And that's a series wrap on
on Waltz.
On Waltz and the horse. This is pretty iconic. Carly, I believe even you knew about the horse's head. I did not.
That's all I knew about this movie, and that it was about the mafia, was that at one point there's a cut off horse's head in someone's bed.
So, and next thing you know, we hear, it's like cut to like Don Vito, and he's like, hey, guess what? Johnny's got that part in the movie. And he's like, yes. Made him an offer he couldn't refuse. So I do think this is here to demonstrate Vito is not the kind of guy you say no to. And when he says he's going to make you an offer you can't refuse, he means it. And
you won't refuse it. And if you do, you won't live to tell about it. Yeah.
So we're going to cut ahead a little bit to Christmas time. And this is really where the dominoes are going to start to fall for the plot of this movie. And Don Vito, he's got an important business meeting with a man named Virgil Salazzo. And Virgil is backed by the Tattaglia family. Again, this is one of the 5 families that the Don oversees. And this Virgil guy is known for his the narcotics drug trade. And he's meeting with Don Vito because he's going to need protection to sort of run his drug business in New York City. And Don Vito, of course, being a man of prominence, he has all these sort of political connections. Got a lot of people on payroll who will sort of help cover this up and make it easy to sort of sell drugs in the streets of New York. And so this meeting occurs, and in the meeting, of course, is Virgil and Don Vito. And Tom, his advisor, is there, and Sonny, the oldest son, is also present at this meeting. And so Virgil is going to give his pitch, like, hey, drugs are the future. And get on board because this is what we're doing now. Gone are the days of gambling and prostitution. Drugs is the future. And Don Vito pretty much quickly, adamantly, 10 toes down, is like, no, we're not doing that.
We're not doing that. Yeah. And it was very much from a point of view of I'm not bringing my family into that. I'm not bringing that danger to my family. We don't need that. It's not worth it. No.
Yeah. From Vito's perspective, this is too risky of an ask. These political figures that he has on payroll or whatever it is, they're not going to want to like, this is messy. Like, drugs are messy. It's like prostitution, gambling is like one thing. These are somehow socially accepted. Drugs, though, are controversial.
Yeah.
And so he just very firmly tells him no. But there's an important moment where Sonny, who's kind of sitting next to him, expresses interest in the idea. Has a moment where he's like, you mean we could do this and we could be making this money? And Virgil clocks it. And so does Don Vito. And after this meeting is over and Virgil's been sort of ushered out, he sort of lightly chastises Sonny for sort of speaking out. He was like, don't speak for the family in front of strangers. This is the first domino that is going to fall. And Don Vito, he's a little skeptical of this meeting as well. And he's going to talk to his enforcer, Luca. And his plan is to plant Luca into the Tattaglia family. Hey, go over to them, tell them that you're not super satisfied with us, with the Corleones, like, get in with them. And I want to find out, especially about this Virgil business, because Don Vito has good instincts. He's been in the game for a long time. He knows that saying no like this could maybe have some repercussions, and he wants to get out ahead of it. So Luca, of course, good enforcer. He's like, absolutely, yep, got it, boss. This will go over without a hitch.
No problem. Yeah, got it.
It's Christmas time, and a series of events are going to take place. We're going to follow Luca first, who's going to head to this bar, and he's going to initiate this meeting with the Tattaglia family. And they're like at an abandoned bar, and it's like Bruno Tattaglia, the younger son or one of the sons of Tattaglia family, and Virgil's there as well. And Luca goes in there and he's sitting at the bar and he's like, yep, I hate it with the Corleones. And he gives it his Academy Award best. He really is like,
really sells it.
I'm really with you all. And they're like, absolutely. His hand's on the table on the bar. And Bruno sort of puts his hand on top of Luca's and he's like, I got you, man.
I got you.
And then stabs his hand. And from behind him, a garrote around his neck, and Luca is strangled.
Yep.
So,
and that is a series wrap on Luca Brasi.
We're going to be saying that a lot.
Yeah,
a lot of dead people in this movie. So, what does this mean? They saw right through Luca. They anticipated this almost from Don Vito.
Yeah.
And Luca's just been taken out. Then we're heading to, it's Don Vito running some errands, going shopping.
He's like at a fruit mart. I was like, Brad's going to say, this is why I don't eat fruit.
Buying these colorful orbs that are called the fruits.
Colorful
you said?
Circles.
And he's there with the middle son, Fredo. It should also be noted, they're like, where's Paulie? Where's my bodyguard? And they're like, oh, he's been out sick so many days or whatever. So Fredo's like, Dad, I got you, Dad. I won't screw this up, I promise.
Nothing wrong will happen, I promise.
So, yeah, they're just out on the street, and Don Vito's like, stay here, Fredo. I'm going to go buy these fruit things. Get some in a bag, and as he's doing it, suddenly these guys appear out of nowhere. And Fredo's like, what? Fumbles for the gun. These two guys come loaded, and they shoot
pop,
Don
pop,
Vito.
Pop, pop, pop.
Like five times.
Yeah. I shot Don Vito 5 times.
He ran into my bullet 5
times.
Fredo still fumbling with his gun. At this point, the two guys like scram. Like Fredo, absolutely useless here.
Meanwhile, the fakest ass blood, the same blood they use in the French Connection, sprays
back,
out of
baby.
the back of Don Vito. They have to have used the same blood guy because the spraying blood looked the exact same.
So shit is going down. You just shot Marlon Brando. Like, that's a big deal.
The Don.
And we could assume, of course, this is all Virgil and the Tattaglias doing, right? And all this is being set in motion, presumably because of this negotiation that Don Vito, said no to. And we are going to cut to, I liked this moment of Michael Corleone and Kay walking out of a movie theater. It's 1945, and they're talking about the movie they just watched, and they're talking about Ingrid Bergman, and I realized the movie they just seen, The Bells of St. Mary's, which is the sequel to Going My Way.
Oh my gosh. That is actually crazy. And again, like the wheel has treated us right, Like, what are the odds that we watched Going My Way before this movie? That is insane.
Because she walked out being like, oh, would you love me if I dressed like a nun or something? And I was like, wait, 1945? I was like doing the math in my head. I was like, could they be talking about Going My Way? And then when they said Ingrid Bergman, I was like, oh, I'm pretty sure she's in The Bells of St. Mary's. And then you do see like a movie poster of the Bells of St. Mary's, which did in fact come out in 1945. So
small world.
Yeah, a little bit of a nod to a past Best Picture winner. So love that moment. But this sweet moment gets interrupted because they walk by a newsstand where all the headlines are like, Michael, your dad was shot.
Your dad was shot. I couldn't believe this was how he's hearing about it. Like, I don't know. It's one thing
get
like
an
in
iPhone,
today's age
bitch.
to it's one thing like to like in today's age to like read something moments after it happens on Twitter, but like somebody had to write the article, get the information, write the article, print the newspaper, put it out there before anyone could pick up the phone and fucking call Michael and tell him his dad was shot 5 times. Like,
very bizarre.
Like, what? Yeah, so they read about it in a newspaper.
It's almost like in Chicago when they just had stacks of newspapers that said Roxy is innocent and stacks of newspaper that said Roxy is guilty, and they were just waiting for the outcome. It's like they just been waiting for the day that Don Vito was just going to be shot in the street.
You're so right. They've had it in the back of the newspaper truck,
like,
and they're just waiting. It's time. You're so right.
Michael, of course, devastated, right? If we're going to learn that the Don Vito is alive still. He was not killed. He is hospitalized.
Yeah. 5 shots and still alive.
Still alive. Virgil and the Tatalias are pissed. And this is important because in Don Vito's absence, the next in line, Sonny Santino. And you can start to, the movie doesn't really like hold your hand through this, but you start to understand like why all of this is happening in the first place.
Yeah.
Because Sonny kind of spoke up at the meeting, expressed a little bit of an interest that Virgil took notice of, and is like, well, if Don Vito is going to tell me no, next in line, Sonny, who might tell me yes. And so this is exactly what Virgil and the Tatalias are wanting here. And they're doing it in such a bizarre way. They're like, well, Sonny will work with us if we just shoot and kill his father.
If we kill his father.
He'll be incentivized to work with us for sure.
Yeah, like, guys could have just asked again.
Yeah. I would like to see their MBAs. Where did they get them from? What institutions? Because
that did not come up in any of my courses.
So Sonny steps up. Sonny is pissed, and we're gonna learn too about Sonny. He's a little bit got a bit of a temper to him, like a little hot-headed. Like he's somebody who's gonna respond emotionally to the things around. Whereas like Don Vito is always sort of measured, even keeled. Like he's been in the game long enough. He trusts his gut and instincts. Sonny will just like be like, "You shoot my father, I'm gonna just go crazy. I'm gonna go cuckoo caca insano." Okay, and. And Sonny is first directing his anger at Polly, the bodyguard, right? Because Polly has been sick a lot lately. And they're also, I think, suspicious of Polly. They don't trust that he's actually sick. Yeah. They literally like drag him out of bed. And Polly's like, hey, sorry, I got a stuffy nose. I'm so sorry about that. And he walks out of the room and Sonny's like, I don't trust that bitch for 1 second. I never want to see that guy ever again. And we're going to get a quick scene of one of the capos. Clemenza is going to take Polly out for a ride and they're going to drive around New York City, and it's a beautiful sunny day, and Polly dies. They should shoot Polly.
Wait, we cannot disrespect this scene like that, Brad. Please.
Okay, fine. Do you wanna walk us through?
It's just one of the most iconic lines in film history, I think, that we're missing out.
Oh.
Yeah. Leave the gun, take the cannoli. That's an iconic line from this movie.
Okay, I did not know
It didn't resonate with you at all?
Cannolis don't play a huge role in my life. Again, I'm Scandinavian. I don't know about this Italian stuff.
Okay, so they're like basically packing up to go. I think they're like gonna take someone to the airport. I don't know. So they're loading up in this car, and the wife of basically one of their Clemenza is one of their men.
Yes,
is like, hey, I don't care what you're going to do, but on the way home, make sure you pick up this cannoli for me. And Clemenza's like, all right, I will. And so then you see them driving, the 3 of them, and then you see this box of cannoli sitting on the front dashboard, and you just see them. And then they pull off. Clemenza's like, I gotta pee. So they pull off the road. Polly's driving, right? And they pull off the road. Clemenza gets out, and you just see him peeing. And then there's this wide, long, far shot. You see the car. You see Polly sitting in front. And you know someone's sitting in the back, but then you just see the shadow of a gun raising up, and then they go back to Clemenza, and you just hear pop, 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 pop. And then the guy in the back seat gets out, Clemenza zips his pants back up and just casually walks over.
Puts his stick back in his pants.
Yeah, exactly. And the guy that shot him was like, all right, leave the gun, take the cannoli. And the guy literally throws the gun in, gets the box of cannoli out, and they just walk away. I'm like, did they walk home from there? Like, they can't call an Uber.
Right, damn.
But it is an iconic line from this movie. I just can't believe that we almost just breezed past it.
This is why I need you, Carla. This is why we have to do this together.
I'm here for the Italian culture. Yeah. And Brad knows I like a good cannoli. We walked a far way in New York City one day to find the best cannoli I could in Little Italy. So I hope that you thought of me when you heard about cannolis in the movie. But I just wanted to make sure to pay homage to this iconic line.
And that's a serious rap on Polly.
And cannolis. We really don't talk about cannolis.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Michael's going to visit his father at the hospital. This is another sort of like long scene. But before he does, he is going to send Diane Keaton away. He's like, it's so dangerous here. You should just go to New Hampshire where nothing bad ever happens.
But as part of this, Diane Keaton's definitely more into this relationship than Michael is.
Yeah,
she's like, I love you. And he's like, yeah, I know.
I love you. He said, thank you.
Thank you.
I will say, like, I think Al Pacino is a great actor. He is so stoic in this movie, like, all the time. Like, I would have loved a little bit more face acting from Al Pacino, just a little bit, like, let us in a little bit.
I was thinking that too, especially in the early part of the movie before his character arc really kicks in, because, I mean, other than, like, his few lines to Kay and his uniform at the beginning of the movie, like, you really don't see that his, like, demeanor changes too much, because he is just the stoic guy, but I agree. I would have liked to see that a little bit.
And so Michael's going to go visit his father at the hospital, and he's quick to notice that, like, there's no one stationed outside. And he goes in, and this place is, like, deserted.
Well, because you just killed Polly. Like,
yeah, you kind of killed your only bodyguard, dude.
Yeah, right.
We get the sense that, like, there should have been people stationed here, right? It's red flags all over the place. Like, where are the people stationed here to protect his father at the hospital? So he quickly gets up to his dad's, like, hospital room. And I guess one nurse working here, this one woman, she's like, what the fuck are you doing here? He's like, this is my dad, you know? And he calls up, I believe, Tom to, like, let him know, like, hey, there's nobody here. He's like, why is nobody here? And the nurse is like, well, there was too many people here. And so the police came and basically escorted them out of here. And again, red flags all over the place. My father's in danger. You need to help me move him to another room.
And they literally carry him
on a stretcher, like, pushing him down the hallways. And really what's important about this hospital scene, I mean, there's two important things, but this first important bit comes when Michael's going to have this moment sort of over his dad's comatose body here. and the line that stuck with me was like, Dad, I'm with you. Like, I am with you. And I think this is important because, again, we've only seen Michael sort of not be interested in the family business, but I think I'm with you. Obviously, anything a son would say to a father who is, you know, lying wounded in a hospital bed, don't know if he's going to make it, but I think I'm with you speaks to a little bit of Michael's headspace. Like, I'm going to be a part of this, essentially.
Where 45 minutes ago in the movie, he's like, that's my family, that's not me.
Exactly, yeah. And now he's activated. He is like, nope, I'm with you, Dad. And he's going to head back outside of the hospital where the police show up again. And it's this police sergeant guy, McCluskey. Yeah. Real asshole.
Yeah, not a good guy.
And this cop, McCluskey, is the one who basically, like, arrested everybody who was there previously. And this guy is not a good guy. This is a dirty cop. And Michael clocks his ass, has, like, some sassy remarks. And we know he's a dirty cop because he literally just straight up punches Michael in the face. And so it's like, okay, who is this fucking cop guy, right? And we're gonna find out more. We're gonna see a family meeting. Sonny's there, Tom's there, Michael's there with a black eye, you know. Tom did some digging into McCluskey, the police captain guy, and he's like, yep, this guy's totally on Virgil's payroll. So McCluskey was absolutely there at the hospital, taking away all of the guards so that Tatalia's men and Virgil's men could come in and kill Don Vito, you know, finish the job. Sonny's like, let's just go get this cop guy. Let's just blow them all away. Let's kill them all away. And Tom's like, he is a, like, police captain. We can't just kill a police captain. Like, Don Vito would not do it this way. You know, we're not going to have political protection when you kill a cop like this. And Michael's just sitting in their chair, silently taking this all in.
Yeah.
And then he pipes up.
He speaks up.
Should also mention too, Sonny, we don't see this on screen, but he has one of the Bruno Tattaglia kid, one of the youngest son, he has him killed. He just basically says, like, oh, the hit was successful on Bruno. So now things are escalating, right, between these two families. Anyways, with all that in mind, Michael speaks up and he proposes, like, hey, Virgil and McCluskey, they're going to want to set up a meeting with me. You know, Sonny, you're too much of a hothead. You just killed Bruno Tattaglia. Like, they're going to want to meet with me to see if this, like, narcotics deal will happen. Like, if I will essentially be the one to say yes. And what if we have this meeting in a public place, somewhere where I would feel safe?
I loved this part. And he was like, oh, do it this place. There's really good food. Yeah. I was like, okay. He was like, have you ever been there? Oh yeah, I've been there. There's really good food. I was like, that actually is a good priority and is very true to the Italian-American culture. Yeah. There must be good food if I'm going to go.
Michael's like, I'll go along with the meeting. They're going to pat me down. They're going to presume I'm going to have a weapon. So what if we had Clemenza plant a gun at this place? If we know where the meeting's going to happen, then we can have somebody plant a gun there for me. Strap
it behind the toilet in the bathroom.
And what if I just, go to the bathroom, grab that gun, come out, and kill Virgil and McCluskey? What if I do that?
They're all like, okay.
Suddenly, like, oh, okay. Like, Sonny was also just advocating to kill them both. But when Michael said it, they're like, oh, now that's interesting.
They also kind of mocked Michael at first. They were like, oh, what? With all your military training? What, are you back in war? And, you're just going to come out and shoot them? And he's like, yes. Like, and they basically like show him this gun and they like showed it to him because it's not what he used, in the war at all. But they were kind of mocking him. And again, it shows the level of respect where it starts with Michael. And then I thought it was a good kind of context.
Yeah. So this is like, I think, a pivotal moment in Michael's journey because he's offering to kill two people. And like one of them, a police captain guy, this is not nothing. And I think you're right, Carly. They first treat him as sort of like hand wavy, but the more he sort of lays out this plan, they buy into it. They're like, wait, this could work. And this is really a test for Michael. Like, what lengths will he go for his family now and for this organization? And so
he probably feels that too. He's like, I got to do this.
And so we're going to see things play out almost exactly how Michael laid them out. So they are going to head to this restaurant, this very Italian restaurant.
Good food.
And this place is mostly deserted. There's like a few patrons or whatever, but McCluskey definitely pats him down, like grabs his crotch like multiple times, slaps his butt a little bit. They're like, yep, there's no gun on there. And so they're feeling confident. They're feeling cool. They're giving their pitch to Michael. And then Michael, sure enough, he's like, I'm going to go piss. So here it is. And there was some talk about like, will the gun actually be there? So Michael gets in there, goes to the bathroom, and he searches for a little bit. He's like, his hand is up in this, like, it's like an old fashioned sort of toilet. But then sure enough, the gun is there waiting for him. And I thought this was a very subtle but important moment too. Like he kind of has the gun and he's like at the bathroom door and he takes a minute, like he takes a beat, like,
yeah.
Because I believe either Sonny or Tom was like, you literally need to emerge from the bathroom like shooting.
Yeah.
It needs to be that quick.
And I mean, it's this metaphorical line he's about to cross, like what he's sworn off, what he's never been a part of with this family business. He's crossing the line right now. And I think it was when he like took that beat, I was kind of like, oof, it's a big moment. It's
tense. Yeah. And so what we do see Michael, he does not come out shooting, but he walks all the way back to his chair. They say a couple more words, and then he's like, all right.
Yeah.
Shoots McCluskey, shoots
Boom.
Virgil.
Boom.
Patrons are just like, what the fuck? Great. And then Michael just runs out of the restaurant.
Yeah.
And runs all the way to Sicily.
Runs all the way to Sicily.
Runs to Europe. That's where we see him next. But yeah, seriously, Michael does what he says he's going to do. This is a big moment. Shoots two men in cold blood, two prominent figures, does it in a restaurant. Like, it's crazy how this goes down. And because of his family connections, he is able to get safe passage. All this is sort of off screen, but he does get safe passage to the homeland, the motherland, Sicily. So Michael's going to have a bit of a Sicily arc.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess, let's follow him to Sicily here because there's a couple of guys there already. He's got some bodyguards, like Fabrizio is one of them. But he's gonna catch eyes with a pretty lady, and he's in love at first sight. This is the romantic comedy part of this movie. And her name is Apollonia.
I was gonna say, I don't even know what her name was.
Apollonia Vitelli. And I was like, hello, Michael. What about Kay Adams in New Hampshire? What about Diane Keaton?
Right.
Before we go back to Sicily, though, we got to introduce kind of a B plot line that might become an A plot line later. But we got to check in on our newlywed couple, Connie and Carlo. How are the married couple doing? Turns out not well, bitch.
Not well. Right before they go to Sicily, Don Vito had come home and everyone's like, oh, cool. And they talk about how the police are really cracking down. Also, Don Vito learns what Michael did and was like kind of not happy about it. He was kind of like, oh, I really didn't want Michael to get involved. So that happened. And then everyone, after Don Vito comes home, the whole family's at dinner, sitting down to eat, which also very Italian American culture to just eat a bunch of food. But so they're all sitting there and Connie and Carlo are at the table with Sonny, and Carlo at one point tells Connie to shut up. He says, shut up. And that's kind of the first inkling that you're like, oh. And Sonny says, hey. Yeah, Sonny's like, don't talk to her like that. And then it just kind of like fizzles out. But this was, I think what you're about to get to is this Connie and Carlo B plot where that kind of started it and then it starts to heat up.
Yeah, so that was good setup, Carly. Thank you. And yep, he maybe doesn't speak respectfully for her, but we're gonna come to find out. Connie's gonna call up her brother Sonny and to come over. And when he gets to her place, she kind of hides her face, but when she turns around, she can't really hide it. But huge black eye, and it's clear immediately what's going on here. Carlo is abusing her, and
she's like, no, it wasn't him, it was my fault. And he's like,
Sonny, being the hothead he is, he's like, where is he? I'm gonna kick his ass, I'm gonna kill him. And this all leads to an outdoor scene where like it's the classic 1940s, right? So all the kids are playing by a fire hydrant that's spewing water in the streets.
I was cracking up at that. That doesn't happen.
And for whatever reason, Carlo's just like out there with them or whatever. And here comes Sonny. Beelines it for Carlo. And in front of all these kids, in front of this entire, the street was full of people. He just beats the shit out of Carlo.
Beats the shit out of him. Takes these metal trash cans and just fucking decks him with it.
It's not even close.
Punch back and forth. Yeah, it beats the shit out of him. Kicks him on the ground. He's done. And he said, if you touch my sister again, I'll kill you. And then he walks away.
So let's put a pin in that. Let's cut to... Let's leave you on that little cliffhanger because we got to cut to Sicily where...
Back to Sicily.
Michael's getting married?
Right.
Marrying random Italian woman.
This is one thing about this movie. I have no reference of time of what any of this is happening. Like, how much time has passed on any of this? Later in the movie, it gets even worse. I'm like, wait, how long has this been like this? So yeah, all of a sudden, I don't know if they just got married really quick or if we just missed a lot of the Sicily plot, how long they've known each other. But yeah, he's getting married to this Italian woman.
I'll say here, the Sicily stuff really didn't work for me at all. I thought it was kind of a momentum killer to sort of like physically remove Michael from like New York City. I get why he has to like flee town, right? But I didn't need to be introduced to all these sort of Sicilian characters.
Yeah.
Michael gets married to this Apollonia girl. We know nothing about her. No backstory at all.
We've heard even very few words from her throughout even the time that we hardly hear her talk. She talks in Italian a little bit, but we know very little about her. But then we see their wedding night. And I don't know if you saw this, Brad, but we did see her boobs. Okay.
So we got some nudity, clocked it. In my notes, I just wrote boobs, exclamation point. But
oh my God, I didn't put an exclamation point. I just put boobs.
Yeah, so that's kind of what you need to know there. They get married and they fuck. And we're going to come back to New York City. And this Carlo Connie storyline is continuing. And so we're actually going to see Carlo and Connie first. They're in their place. And I thought this was interesting. She like they get a phone call and Connie picks it up and it's like this other woman being like, hey, can you tell Carlo like I'm gonna be late tonight or something like that? And Connie just like hangs up, doesn't say a word. So I think the implication is that this is like some mistress who carelessly just called their home phone number and was like
the worst mistress in the whole world.
Not important, but all this is going to lead to a huge argument and Connie's like losing her shit. She's going to run around her place just like knocking china, plates, anything breakable. She is just smashing it. Honestly, I mean, the scene is disturbing because, he's going to...
He takes his belt off. Yeah.
Takes his belt off and basically chases her into like a bathroom. And we can just hear... We don't see it on screen, but we hear him hitting her. Yeah. And I assume Connie calls Sonny. I don't think we actually see this, but Sonny hears about this.
We just see Sonny pick up the phone. And he's like, wait, what? And then,
So he gets in his car. He is presumably going to go and kill motherfucking Carlo in his motherfucking ass, as he should. But he's got to pay for the toll road. You got to pay the toll.
The mob boss, and you don't have an easy pass. Like,
damn, Sonny, big mistake not having that easy pass. You could have just breezed right through this toll road, but
you're gonna pay for that.
So he's paying for the toll. But something's up because
the toll teller like just looks at him and just ducks,
drops,
and then you're like, wait,
closes
what?
a little window.
yeah.
And suddenly cars emerge in front of Sonny's car. Cars are arriving behind him. Men get out, and it's just there's nothing Sonny can do. It is just a barrage of bullets.
I've never seen one person shot so many times.
So many. He gets out of his car, boom, 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 French Connection blood out the wazoo, out of all of his holes. And he basically just kind of like falls awkwardly in the street.
And then everyone drives away, and they just show him just laying there with his car door open.
Brutal.
Yeah, he got absolutely destroyed at this toll booth.
So presumably this was the Tatalias, right? Sonny is not playing ball with them, and he is the head of the family, despite the fact that Vito is recovering and he's conscious now. Sonny's still sort of running the affairs, right? And Sonny also did kill Bruno Tattaglia, footage not found, but it happened. And so now Sonny has been killed on his way to presumably kill Carlo. And I liked the scene that happens next. Basically, it's Vito, and this is a nice full circle moment with our Undertaker guy in the very beginning, the one who asked for the favor to start the movie. They're there like at a morgue, and it's Sonny's body's out on the table, and Vito is mobile enough to be there in person. And he basically calls on the favor of the Undertaker to be like, please like clean up my boy, like clean up the body. Like I can't present him like this at his funeral. But I thought this was really good acting from Marlon Brando here. Like he is so heartbroken to look at at dead Sonny's body. I felt moved by the scene, because up to this point I was like feeling a little emotionally disconnected from these characters, but it was nice to see Marlon Brando just sort of taking this all in. You really do get the sense that he loves all of his children. Like, he really loves his family, and so he is just devastated. And that's not all, because we're going to cut back to Sicily, and Michael is going to be warned by someone. Oh, no, and Michael's going to find out from this guy, too, that Sonny is killed, and basically like, hey, Michael, like, you're in danger, too. Like,
they know you're here.
They know you're here. You're in danger as well. I don't think Apollonia is like new Italian wife with the boobs. I don't think she's up to speed on what's going on. They're like going to go
up to speed on very little. She's just kind of there.
And they're like going to go for a drive, but she's going to like drive him or whatever. And he's like asking his bodyguard Fabrizio, like, prepare the car for me. I don't know.
Yeah, well, he's like, prepare the car. And he's like, and you need to get Apollonia somewhere safe. Like, I'm going to go. You need to take her somewhere safe. And then he kind of like does a couple of things. And then he heads to the car. Yeah. And he sees the bodyguard that he just told to go do something, like just standing there. Yeah. And he's like, wait.
Walking away.
And he's like kind of hurrying away. And then he looks over and I'm sorry, this woman is just like so clueless.
She's like, hey.
It's not funny. She's like, hey,
there's a ticking clock in here.
Hey, I'm learning.
Hey,
I can drive. Like, I'm surprising you. And I think this guy that he talked to, he was like, where's Apollonia? And I don't know if it was her dad or whatever. But he's like, oh, she's actually in the car. She's gonna go with you. She's surprising you. She's gonna drive. She learned how to drive. And he's like, oh, okay, cool. So then he walks out and sees this guy, looks over, and Apollina's like, Michael, I'm over here. And he like looks back and forth, and he's like, Apollina! Boom!
Car bomb.
Car bomb. No, the whole car blows up.
It's a Best Picture winner, listeners. You know what that means.
I said, rest in peace, Apollina, a true Best Picture winner.
We really need a special episode where we just toast to all the women we've lost in Best Picture winners.
At the end of the podcast, we'll have an in memoriam slideshow.
Yeah, you're so right. Apollonia with the boobs. We hardly knew you. But go in grace.
That'll be the picture that we put of her.
So obviously, Michael was the intended target here, but a woman needs to be killed to motivate Michael in the direction that the story needs him to be going in. And he was betrayed by one of his bodyguards, that's a series wrap on Fabrizio. We don't see him again. Although apparently in the novel, Michael does get his revenge on that guy.
Oh, good.
And this is also a series wrap on Sicily, at least for this movie.
Yeah.
And this is all leading to a big business meeting. Yeah. Vito needs to get his house in fucking order. It's time to meet with the 5 families. And they're all going to be gathered here together to talk about the shit that's going down. Because what the undercurrent of this whole plot of this whole movie is that we are on the like precipice of a war breaking out between these 5 families. Shit is escalating. People are dying. Sons are dying. But Don Vito in particular, like, he doesn't want war to happen. And he's actively trying to sort of find peace here. Yeah. And at the center of this discussion is the narcotics, the drugs of it all. And this guy, Barzini, who's the head of one of the other families, speaks up a lot in this meeting about the drugs and how we need this, Don Vito. We need your protection. This is the way of the future. And Don Vito is like, I hear you. He was like, me saying no to this, and he outlines what his concerns were with the deal. And And he's like, but at this point, like, you've lost sons, I've lost sons, like, talking to Talia. He was like, fine, let's put a procedure in place for the drug deals to happen. I'll ensure the protection. Let's just move forward with peace. And so everyone's like, all right, Don Vito's on board for the Las Drogas. Let's do it.
Don Vito there makes a deal. He won't retaliate for Sonny's death. He said,
yes.
And as part of this, to show you that I'm being loyal and I'm true to this word of peace, I won't retaliate for Sonny's death, but I have a son in Sicily who I would like to come back, and you cannot take any action against him.
That's right.
And so that was kind of like, I think the other 4 families, it gave the feeling like, okay, he's giving us this drug thing, like, fine, we'll settle it.
That's a good point too. And he also ends by saying, like, I swear on my grandchildren, I won't be the one to break the peace that we have made. And him and Tom get into their limousine after the meeting, and Tom is like, all right, should I meet with the Tatalia's people about, who the middlemen of this drug business will be? And Vito is like, no, not the Tatalias. Barzini is the man. And Tom's like, you mean Tatalia? And he's like, no, Barzini. He's like, Tatalia is a pimp, he calls him. He's like, Tatalia is not the kind of man who ever would have done this to Sonny. Barzini was the one behind it all. And anyone familiar with the Godfather movie poster, you'll see that there is sort of like puppet strings, right? Like on that movie poster. And this is Don Vito saying Barzini was the one all along. His instincts are telling him. And it's because Barzini was really like being the most vocal about the drugs that Don Vito is putting in his mind that Barzini is behind the whole thing. That he worked in the shadows and made Tatalia be his pawn in this game with Virgil, and Barzini's really the one responsible for Sonny's death, not the Tatalias, as we might expect. So this is a bit of a reveal. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's a super effective reveal, only because like Barzini was a character I wasn't following this whole movie. And so suddenly it's like, oh, he's the bad guy this whole time. So it's...
Well, and part of me was like, okay, so how do you know? It's like, it like you said, I felt like as a viewer, it was like, oh, he cracked the case. But it also, and part of me is like, is this real? Is this really what happened? Or is this Don Vito saying, it was a little bit of a weird scene for me. So I'm glad that you explained it like that. And I'm still like, it was kind of weird.
Yeah, no. And I really had to do some Googling after this movie because, again, like the movie doesn't hold your hand. And I do actually appreciate that about a film, not treating you like you're dumb when you're watching it. But this is a sprawling 3-hour epic. We're just plopped right in the middle of this world, and it's hard to sort of follow. And to me, like I just needed Barzini, I think, to be like have more presence in the beginning of the film. It's sort of like a Scooby-Doo mystery, right? Like you need to meet all the suspects so that when the mask gets pulled off, you're like, oh, of course. Like we need to know all the suspects up front, what their possible motives could be. And I think for this, like Barzini was like a nothing character to me kind of deal. Yeah. But so I thought, oh, he's responsible for Sonny's death. I had to do a little bit more digging to realize like, no, Barzini was responsible for everything. Like the little finger of Game of Thrones, if you will, the one working in the shadows, moving these pieces to where he wanted. And it was all for the purpose of this drug deal, and probably due to the fact that like Don Vito's looked at as like an old man at this point. Like Barzini probably also like wants to take out Don Vito and then fill the power vacuum. Again, also Game of Thronesian sort of, I'm going to sit on the throne now. The Iron Throne's mine. So with all that said, and I'm glad you mentioned it, Carly, because Don Vito does leverage this meeting to ensure Michael's return to New York City and his protection from the other families. So Michael does come home, and we're going to see him reunited with Kay. He's going to go, he's like, my first wife just died, so there's an opening. And
well, she's like, oh, you're back. He's like, yeah, I've been back a whole year. And I'm like, wait, a whole year? Like, this is when the times just starts to speed up.
Yes.
And I'm like,
I don't even know if he like proposed right there and there, but like the purpose of the scene is like him and Kay do reconnect here. You're right. There is a time jump here. And I don't think Kay knows anything about Apollonia. So I know I said, he's like, hey, my first wife is dead. I don't think she has any knowledge about that at all. But he wants to reconnect with her. And there's hesitancy from her. I think at this point, she definitely knows what this family's all about. She knows there's danger, there's risk. Like, your dad was, like, shot in the street. Like, I don't know if I can.
Well, and she said, she's like, you literally disappeared. Like, I tried to call you.
Yes.
And you just didn't call me back. And he's like, yeah. Do you want to, like, get married?
She's like, I said I love you, and you said thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I think true to how the relationship's always been, she, like, cares, and he's just like, do you want to be together or not? Yeah,
exactly. Kay is going to accept Michael back into her life, and we're not going to see this on screen, but they are going to get married and they are going to have a son of their own. And so, but the other thing, and probably what helped convince Kay to forgive him and to move forward, is that he promises, like, Kay, 5 more years, I promise you, and then we're going to go legit. Like, that's going to be it. Like, we're going to tie up these loose ends, and then I'm going to set this family straight, and we are going to be on the straight and narrow moving forward. And because in Sonny's death too, it should also be noted that Fredo kind of skipped over here, despite the fact that Fredo is the older son here. He's going to like head off to Vegas for reasons, I don't know. But the organization is now kind of looking at Michael. You know, Don Vito's still there, of course, but Michael is going to be the successor. Michael is now getting way more involved, and he's promising Kay he's just going to be involved for the next few years, and then she will be his priority. She's like, okie dokie.
Like, I'll get to you, I promise.
And so we do get this like B plot line. I'm going to kind of yada yada, where Michael is going to head off to Vegas to represent his father. They're meeting with this like casino boss guy, Mo Green. Mo Green, owns all these casinos. They want to like buy out his casino. I don't know. Yeah. What's important here is that Mo Green basically laughs in Michael's face, basically like, you want to buy me out? I'm the name here in Vegas. Like, fuck off. And Fredo is in this room because Fredo is like working for Mo Green or in some capacity. We didn't really like follow this story in this movie. It's also mentioned that Mo Green kind of slaps Fredo around a little bit, is rough with him. Michael makes a reference to this. So I think the 2 important takeaways from this is that Michael is told no, and Michael's like, I'll make you an offer you can't refuse kind of vibe here, right? And he also makes mention that like, you're roughing my brother up. And so that's the major takeaways to this Las Vegas thing.
Well, and Michael is in this leadership role now. He kind of talks about the reorganization. Mm-hmm. You know, 2 kind of big changes. He demotes Tom to lawyer and is basically like, you're just the family lawyer now. And then he promotes Carlo to his consigliere, his right-hand man, which basically Tom used to be. So some shifts in the family, and it also, I think as the viewer, you're like, Carlo? You know, like...
Him?
Right, and you're like, well, Michael wasn't really around for all that. You wonder how much he actually knows, but that was his decision, so... That's
good that you mentioned it, because, Michael's like the equivalent of, like, a new boss coming in the organization. He's like, all right, an organizational shakeup here. Like, you know, Tom is an advisor to his dad, right? So Michael's going to establish his own advisor, you know, kind of deal. Yeah. And he's going to have his own people sort of surrounding him, and he's not going to be exactly like his father. So all that's important. And so this Vegas trip doesn't go well, and we're next going to kind of see this nice scene between Vito and Michael. Michael's talking about like, what were sort of your expectations of me, Dad? Like, I'm sorry I wasn't always there for you, and, you know, wanting to be involved in the business. And Vito is like very much like letting us know and Michael know that like, I didn't necessarily want this for you. Like, I wasn't looking to you to have to be a part of this like nasty business. Like, you could be governor, you could be president even. Like, you can go out and forge your own path. Like, that's all I ever wanted for any of you kids. I thought that was nice.
Something to note here, too, is I think there's been another time jump. Like, Vito's looking very old. Like, you could tell he's old. You can tell he's, like, obviously taken a very big backseat in the family and the business. But it was a very good scene, and I think it's right after we had seen Michael, you know, has a family and is kind of taking this next step in his life. So it was a really good scene.
Yeah, that's a good point, because they make mention of Michael and Kay's child and being like 5 years old even. So again, his promise to Kay about like 5 years, like we get the sense that like we're at that point now. And there's this like little boy child actor now. Something else too I wanted to know in this conversation between Vito and Michael again is like, you know, do I need to become like you essentially? And Don Vito is like, you are like me. We refuse to be fools, to be puppets dancing on a string pulled by other men. I hoped the time for guns and killing and massacres was over. That was my misfortune. That was your misfortune. And I've been sort of hunted since 12 years old. I had no choice. And again, sort of hitting on these like this idea of like puppets being, you know, what choice, what sort of free will do you have? Don Vito is a man who felt like he didn't really ever have a choice. This path was laid out before him. But he didn't necessarily desire to be this Don Mafio guy, as if fate sort of decided this for him. And he was brought to this place as opposed to somebody who made these decisions consciously and made this
you
path.
Can tell, and I think you see this at the beginning of the movie, like where he wants to be fair, said in quotes, but like he wanted to break a cycle of some kind. Yeah. And I think he just kind of saw this being like his family's future and it's not going to end good. So I think he wanted to make it like, he wanted the best for his family. He wanted to do well and break this cycle of violence, really. But I think he's kind of like admitting that in a way he failed at that. But, he's proud of Michael too. It was like a good conversation. And I think there was a lot of emotion to unpack for sure.
Really, like Don Vito's like trying to hit home to Michael. You do have the choice. You don't have to choose this. And I think that is important when we're going to talk about Michael and his journey here towards the end of the film. And then we're going to get a sweet scene between grandfather and grandson. Vito's outside playing with, I don't even know this kid's name.
Anthony.
Oh, of course. We needed a name.
Which I can relate to as an Italian-American name because that's my brother's name.
They're playing around outside and then the classic Don Vito starts to like, takes a stumble. He's like rubbing his chest, a little dying of cough, and then just falls. Falls. Collapses. And the little boy has no understanding and is just like, running around being an idiot.
He kept playing around his dead grandpa and then just kind of trots away.
One last thing I should mention, though, in that Vito and Michael conversation, he does kind of give him a heads up about Barzini. He hasn't let this go yet. And he said, he warned Michael.
That's right.
He was like, someone that you trust is going to try to set up a meeting between you and Barzini, and this will be the way that they get to you, make you feel comfortable, but it will be a trap and they will kill you. So he hasn't stopped beating this Barzini drum and forgotten his like suspicions. And so he does leave Michael with that. And that's important because at the funeral of all places, Vito is being laid to rest. And Tessio, a guy we haven't really talked about, but he is with Clemenza. He's one of these capos, these lieutenants, if you will, of this organization. He approaches Michael at the funeral, and as prophesized by Vito, he was like, hey, Barzini wants to have a meeting with you. And Michael plays it cool. He's like, yeah, sounds great. Set it up. And he's sort of observing just the interactions happening at the funeral, who's hugging who. And he notices that Tessio and Barzini are like having conversations, hugging it out. And so the wheels are going to turn in Michael's head. Connie and Carlo have a kid of their own now. They're going to baptize the child, of course. And they
would like Michael to be the godfather.
And so Michael's like, oh, I'll be there, all right, because I need an alibi. And this is a big montage.
Very cool scene. As filled with violence as it was, I really loved it.
Where we get Michael in the church at the baptism. We're hearing the priest guy do his priest things, saying priest things. And we're cutting to all the different heads of the families are all in different places, in a hotel room.
Getting a massage.
Getting a massage. And we keep cutting back between all these different guys and this baptism scene where Michael's just there, knowing full well what's transpiring here while he's at this baptism. And then suddenly it's just a death montage.
Yeah.
Every single heads of these four other families, so Barzini included, the Tatalias, the other two families didn't play a huge role in the story. They're all gunned down by various different people in the Corleone organization. Mo Green, the casino guy, gets shot in the face while in this massage.
And while all this is happening, as part of it, and he's being named the Godfather, so they keep showing this little cutie baby getting the water on his head, and the priest is saying all this stuff, and then they, as part of being a godfather or a godparent, you have to go up there and acknowledge to the church that you are going to take care. So while this is happening, the priest, and I thought this was so perfect, Michael Francis Rizzi, do you denounce Satan? And it looks over at him, and again, all these people being shot, it keeps cutting back and forth. I do renounce him. And then the priest says, and all of his works? And Michael says, I do renounce them. And then again, you see a couple more people being killed by order of Michael, and then it goes back and it says, and all of his pomps? And Michael just says, I do renounce them. And then you see they show all of the four people just laying dead. And I just thought it was magnificent. Thought it was so cool.
Chilling, effective. Yeah. He's doing all this just knowingly. And while at his niece or nephew's baptism, chilling stuff from Michael here.
Yeah.
Who basically ordered the hits on all these people. He's not done yet either. And even though he's like literally leaving the church on the church steps being like, Connie, Carlo, like, that was so fun. Thanks for a great time. Like, woo.
Well, he's like, Carlo, why don't you come with us? Right?
Oh, yeah. He's like, Carlo, could you head to the house or whatever?
Yeah.
Like, get a few things. And before we check in with Carlo, we are going to see Tessio. This was the capo, the one who is this like rat, right? Working for Barzini. Michael's going to approach him, basically reveal like, hey, I know you're a skank lying ass whore. And Tessio is like, it just was business. It was never personal. And Michael was like, well, I hope you don't take this personally. He didn't say that. That was my
I was going to say, did he?
Tessio, we don't see it happen on screen, but he gets driven away and like, yep, that's going to be a series wrap on Tessio.
Tessio. We will not see him in The Godfather Part 2.
Yeah, and Michael's still not done. Saves the best for last. And he arrives at the house where Carlo is like there, like preparing whatever he was preparing. But Carlo starts to catch on pretty quickly. It's tense in the room. Michael sort of lays it out to Carlo that like, hey, like, I know that you were working with Barzini and you played a role in my brother's death.
Yeah.
And
you tipped him off that day when Sonny, whatever, where he would be. Mm-hmm. And yeah.
It makes sense. We just saw Sonny beat the shit out of Carlo publicly, right? Like everybody saw this happen. Carlo, who obviously is a hothead and has no emotional control, like you can easily see his pride being so hurt that he absolutely colluded with a rival family to have Sonny be killed. And who knows, maybe even like was beating Connie that day to set the chain in motion to have Sonny be on the way there for this hit to happen. So
no, he's like, come on, guys, like, come on. And they're like, well, and I thought this was good. And Michael's like, no, yeah, I just want to let you know that like we know. And you are no longer a part of the family. He's like, I'm not going to hurt you, don't worry, but you're no longer a part of the family business, and that's your punishment. And Carlo's kind of like, oh, thank God, okay. And then he's like, yeah, so these guys will give you a ride home if you want to head out. He's like, phew. So then they go out and get in the car.
And yeah, so he gets in the car, and it's the classic sort of like somebody's in the back seat. And in this case, it's Clemenza, who like gets the rope, the garrote or whatever around, and like pulls him almost back into the back seat, where Carlo is like kicking and struggling, and his feet just go through the front windshield because of how much he's sort of like struggling to get out of this.
You're right. And the whole shot it doesn't move. It just shows him through the windshield, and then you see like the feet, and then the feet, and then the windshield's broken and the foot's hanging out. You see that he's dead, and then they pull away with him just hanging out of the front windshield. I thought it was so cool.
And that's a series wrap on
Carlo. Easily one of the least liked people in the whole movie, and I was glad he got his in the end.
So now we head to the final scene of the movie, and I love this scene. It's going to start with Michael. He's like, presumably in his father's office, and at their house or whatever. Connie's going to come rushing in, distraught, emotional. Michael, how could you? Like, I know you had something to do with Carlo. Like, she's pissed, she's mad, she's devastated. She knows like that Carlo is presumably dead. I doubt like she has like confirmation about that, but she's like, you lousy bastard, you killed my husband. And Kay's kind of standing around being like, huh?
Wait, what? What's going on?
But Connie's like, you waited until our father died and nobody could stop you, and you killed him. You killed him. You blamed him about Sonny. You always did. Everything did. But you never thought about me, never gave a damn about me. And she's like, what am I going to do now? And Michael like looks to another man. He's like, get her home. She's hysterical.
Yeah.
And she's sort of ushered out of the room. And it's just Kay and Michael. And she was like, Michael, is this true? What she's saying? And he is like,
don't ask me about my business, Kay.
Don't ask me. She's like, tell me. And he like takes a minute and he says, all right, just this one time you can ask me about my affairs one last time. And she says, is it true? And we just hang on Michael's face for a beat. And he goes, no, it's not true. And
the relief that falls over Kay's face.
Immediate.
She's like, I knew
she needed to hear that.
Oh, thank God, babe.
So they sort of hug, whatever, and she kind of walks out of the office, and I just love the way the blocking of the shot, the way this ends, and she's kind of standing there. She kind of can look to her left down this hallway to Michael standing there in his office with the door open, and these other men emerge out of nowhere inside the room, and they kiss Michael's hand. And they call him Don. Don Corleone.
Don Corleone. And they smooch him, and it ends.
And we don't even see Kay's face, but I love this as an ending because it both works as like the ending to a standalone film. Let's say there was never going to be a second or third Godfather. Like it works on that level to show Michael's transformation. But because we know that there's sequels, it's like a fun cliffhanger of like Kay realizing and seeing. And it's so ominous, right? Because Michael has fully transformed now. He promised Kay 5 years and we're going to get out of this. And the movie ends with them calling him Don and kissing his hand. And you just know he ain't getting out of this business.
Yep.
And that's it. Is 2 hours, 55 minutes. Woo. We are going to be covering The Godfather Part 2 as our next episode. But I thought now might be a fun time to just maybe speculate what might happen in Part 2, given what we know. Like, I'm very curious myself. We have not watched Part 2, right? We're going to handle these one at a time. So
that's a really good idea. I think my thought is Michael is going to be challenged as the Don of these families. And the families, obviously, there's going to be repercussions for what just transpired. And I think the Corleones are going to be challenged for the power.
My eyes are definitely on Kay. I really hope that she gets to have a bigger role in Part 2, especially because we ended on their relationship. Like, she will be the one, I think, to call it out to Michael's face, like what you've become. Like, you've become the thing that you said you wouldn't be. And so I hope that there's some good, juicy interpersonal stuff there.
Yeah.
But I agree, like, this ending to the first Godfather feels very ominous. I think bad times are coming for Michael Corleone, given all the murders of these 4 families. You have to imagine the families will just all have sons who will take up the mantle, right? I doubt he obliterated the family lines, right? Or that they won't play a role.
Yeah. Well, and he has a son now too. And I mean, he always has, but he's also a godfather now. And you are seeing him literally where we first saw Don Vito Corleone. We are now going to pick up and see Michael Corleone with all these people that he wants to keep safe, but he also has this power. And how is he going to be fair? I also know just from looking at IMDb that Connie's in the next movie, you know, so it's like, you know, so yeah, what's she gonna say or how's she gonna react? And I want to know what kind of time jump is there gonna be. Obviously, there's gonna be immediate fallout from all of this, so I would hope we get to see that. Or are they just gonna kind of jump 10 years and be like, oh yeah, 10 years ago, blah, blah, blah. So I don't know. I'm really interested and excited. I've heard really good things about The Godfather too.
Yeah, let's bring it back to this movie, though. Let's talk about our overall feelings as we give our ratings.
Yeah.
The emoji we chose.
Yeah, go ahead.
A little on the nose, but we have settled on the Italian flag.
A little on the nose, but that's okay.
Look, this truly is like, I think every character except for Diane Keaton is Italian-American in this film. And Carly, do you want to go first? You want me to go first? You know,
I can go first.
Okay, good luck.
I am really between a 5 and a 4. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
I think I am going to give it a 5 or a 4. I think I'm going to give it a 4. I think it was a very good movie. I think it could be a 5. I think I expected it to be a 5. I loved all the twists and turns, and like I said, I think the movie itself, just again, every scene was so meaty, and I think you could watch this movie so many times and pick up something different every time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I just really like characters, and I would have liked a little more of, like, we went pretty obviously far deep on Michael, but I would have liked a little more on a few more people, and instead we got a little bit on a lot of people, which is also fine and is an art choice in itself, but those are my reasons for thinking it's a 4. I would say it's 4.5, but I have to give it a 4.
That's interesting because I will say I thought about rating and ranking in this movie more than I do other movies where I can figure this out pretty quickly, but knowing the reverence and the respect that The Godfather has, I'm almost like afraid to like give it anything less than a 5, you know what I mean? But
yeah. But also, we don't make our decisions based on other people, right?
I know. I will say, coming into this podcast, even before you spoke, I was like, I'll give it a 5. But in my heart, I feel like it really was a 4 experience for me, but I give it a 5th for its respective reference.
Brad, so you're giving it a 5th because other people would?
Well, now that you've shared your rating, I will match your freak. I'll give it a 4.
Really?
I just was afraid to do it, but since you went first, here's my quibbles. Here's why it doesn't hit the 5 for me. 3 hours is a long ass film. I watched this in one sitting. I did not split it up like you did.
Yeah.
And even though like it's cuckoo caca insano at the end there, I was still like, oh my God, like I was ready for the movie to wrap up.
Me too.
Of course, I always am. I prefer a movie that uses its female characters more prominently, that they have more to do. So of course I'm not surprised, but it's like I'm sad that women don't have much to do in this story. Not even like Don Vito's wife. Like there is a mother, there is a matriarch to this family. And she's
100%. They mentioned her like
Nothing.
one time toward the end too, when he was like, I don't want my wife to see Sonny like this. And I was like, You have a wife? Like it's ridiculous. She sings very well.
News
I
to
remember
me.
her singing, but yeah, I was like that. We could have done a little more with that.
And then I mentioned this already about sort of like the Barzini reveal, but it's like I'm just not super emotionally connected to that like plot reveal. Like that feels like a turning point for the movie. This reveal that there is this sort of like puppet master or this man working behind the shadows the whole time. But I didn't have any connection to Barzini anyway, so it just sort of felt like, oh, okay then. And then while the massacre at the end is like wonderfully shot and eerie and chilling, it also is sort of like, it's almost like it was too easy for Michael to clean up everything. Like his only solution is to kill everybody he disagrees with, which I think hopefully plays a role in like part 2. Like he hasn't faced like a real challenge yet. Like he's suffered tragedy, yes, but that's what I'm hoping for part 2, I guess, is like, I think even you said it, Carly, of like, I need him to have an adversary. I need him to have
be challenged for sure.
Be challenged. And I think it would be really juicy if like Kay somehow steps up to be the one that really challenges him. So those are like my quibbles with the movie, and I did not care for the Sicily stuff.
Sicily stuff.
That's silly.
The Sicily stuff.
Sicily of me.
So silly.
So that is why I give it a 4, but I am fearful that somebody's going to put a hit on me for giving it a 4.
Oh my gosh. Okay, would you say it's for the gays?
I will say I did appreciate Sonny in one scene wearing a tank, and he had a very like hairy body.
Very Italian.
I'm not opposed to body hair. I appreciated that. I was like, oh, that gave me something to look at. But no, not for the gays.
So for that reason only.
That was just an aside. that was unrelated to your question, but
likewise for the girls, it's not for the girls. Like you said, I'm hoping maybe 2 or 3 it is for the girls. You and I were just talking about Mad Men and how it's all about men the whole time, but then in the end, like all the women actually end up getting what they want. So I would like for a kind of a series wrap on those 2 to be like, oh, they really made out well. So
me too.
I'm hoping for better things in The Godfather Part 2, but this one, no, is not for the girls.
All right, well, let's rank it. Oh, I do have a spot in mind.
Okay.
How about this? I'll start with the tier.
Okay, I have a spot. Okay, what's your tier?
This is an A tier movie.
For sure.
So, okay, we agree on that. Our A tier is as follows from top to down. It's Parasite, Moonlight, No Country for Old Men, $1 Million Baby, Platoon, Chicago, The Apartment. And I'm thinking 4th overall.
I'll tell you where my spot is, where I was thinking, is exactly where you were thinking.
Fuck yeah!
Right above, it's definitely above $1 Million Baby. I don't think it's above No Country for Old Men. The whole time watching No Country for Old Men, I loved it. This I had to finish, you know? So yes. I agree, for sure.
Okay, 4th overall.
Love. I feel comfortable with that. I have some 5 movies that I ranked 5 that are below The Godfather that I rated 5 that are below The Godfather in ranking. Yeah. But I think that's fine. I think it's a A-tier movie, better than some other films, but my rating is not as high. So I feel comfortable with that.
Perfect. Well, Carly, you did not see the Rotten Tomato score.
You're right, I didn't. I was thinking about this today, and I'm like, I just have to because everyone thinks it's like the greatest movie of all time.
May I also just remind you really quickly?
Yes.
We're still on the hunt for 3 movies in the 99 Club.
No, my guess was going to be 99 for this movie because people just love the shit out of this movie.
This movie is not in the 99 Club. If you can believe it. So we are still on the hunt for, because Parasite did get a 99, and there's 3 other films, and The Godfather is not one of those. But it's not too far away. The Godfather got a 97%.
Oh my gosh, just like The French Connection.
Yes.
Which won the previous year.
Again, we talked about it too. Like The French Connection, I think really helped usher in this wave of films in the 1970s of these sort of like cop,
Pew,
mafia,
pew, pew.
like
Paint
masculine
blood.
men,
Yeah.
shooting, violence, gore. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us about Francis.
Francis. Since we're also going to talk about Francis in part 2.
Yeah.
For this update, I'm going to focus it on sort of his accolades, his career, and then I think for the part 2, I'll talk about the Coppola family and any sort of personal juicy stuff there. Francis is still alive, 87 years old. He is a 5-time Oscar winner.
Wow.
He's also a 2-time Palme d'Or winner. We've talked about that award.
Palme d'Or.
And he's like one of 10 people to win the Palme d'Or twice.
Wow.
So his 5 Oscar wins, he has 3 writing Oscars. So 3 of his are screenplays. Bit of a spoiler for part 2, but he is going to win, I guess, for a producing credit for Best Picture win, and then for Best Director as well. But that Best Director win is not going to come from this first Godfather, if you can believe it. So
wow.
He has directed a plethora of movies. Other movies that you might have heard of: Apocalypse Now, The Outsiders, which is the film I've heard, and then a movie called The Conversation, which I haven't heard, but people do put this movie in that sort of top tier of all films of all time. I believe The Conversation was one of the Palme d'Or winners. And then something I thought I would mention or write down is he, like, I think in 2010 participated. Directors, they publicly revealed like what their 10 favorite films is of all time. And it was a part of this like series. One of the 10 films that he mentioned of being one of his favorites is a Best Picture winner that we've covered already. But Francis Ford Coppola believes The Apartment to be one of the best films of all time.
Oh my God, and that's in our A tier.
Yeah, and I agree with him. I love The Apartment.
Yeah.
I'll stop it there to hear about the actors, but yeah, we'll talk about them more in part 2.
Yes, so the actors, similarly with some of them, I didn't dive too deep because I knew we would see a number of them in the next one, but one that we won't see is Marlon Brando. One interesting thing about him is he had an Oscar stolen from him.
Oh.
And he said that he had misplaced it. He didn't know where it was. And then all of a sudden someone called him and said, I work at this auction house and someone just tried to sell me your Oscar for On the Waterfront. So he won Best Actor for On the Waterfront. And I just thought that was an interesting thing. First of all, how do you misplace an Oscar? You're just like, oh yeah, where did that thing go? Okay, one thing that I want to talk about is his cheeks, because I feel like every time you see any movie or show, you know, mimicking The Godfather, they always put like cotton in their cheeks. Yeah. And I saw a lot of pictures of Marlon Brando, and that obviously were not his real cheeks. And so I was like, what's the deal with that? You know, it's in like the Smithsonian of film or something, but he has like he had this retainer that he would put on, and it's just like padded down there. A big part of it was he said that he wanted this character to be like a bulldog. Like that was like what he tried to emulate with this character. And so he said he actually like had this idea and saw, you know, some people with it, and he was like, I just wanted it to look like a bulldog too. So that's the mystery behind the cheeks. One thing too that I thought you would really enjoy, Brad, is he was supposed to be in one of your favorite movies.
Bring it on.
No, Scary Movie 2.
In what role? The Tim Curry role?
No. So he was supposed to be in the opening scene. He was supposed to be the priest.
Oh,
He was cast for it. He showed up to do it, and he got super sick. Like I guess he showed up, was super sick on set. They let him keep the $2 million they offered him for this 30-second role. Yeah. But they said famously he couldn't do it, and he felt really bad, but he wasn't in it. So interesting to think about. He was supposed to star opposite Natasha Lyonne and get puked on.
That priest starts by shitting in a toilet, and he's got flies on his face, and then he goes into the room and they spew vomit on each other and Natasha Lyonne, and that's crazy.
Yep. So it did ultimately go to James Woods, which either actor at the time, I wouldn't really have known a difference, but it would have been kind of iconic to see the Godfather playing this role. But
wow.
Yeah. And I'm sure you'll get to it, so I don't want to touch on it too much, but he was a huge activist. It was a big part of his life and career, and he famously declined an Oscar. So I will let you tell the story. Next is Al Pacino, full name Alfredo Pacino. Alfredo Pacino. He has also a triple crown of acting. He has been nominated for 9 Oscars. That's like a lot. Wow. And I think he's only won one. But a lot of nominations, a very well-known, well-respected actor. His grandparents are actually from Sicily, so he is of Sicilian descent, just like his character. So he said that was a big part of the role that he really liked and enjoyed, was just kind of playing true to his true culture. He and Diane Keaton started dating during the filming of Godfather 1. The grandfather. And they dated all through the filming of Godfather Part 3, and then they did not ever make it like a marriage or anything, but I guess for the entirety that they were a couple in this trilogy, they were a couple in real life, which I always think is kind of cool. Okay, and then I wanted to just touch on his children. So he has 4 children total. One of them we're not going to talk about. 2 of them he fathered with Beverly D'Angelo. Do you know who that is?
Yeah. Is she the one in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation?
Yes, she's the mom in National Lampoon's. And I'm in all the National Lampoon's movies, all the vacation movies. So I thought that was very interesting. I know, love her. So he has 2 kids with Beverly D'Angelo. They were together for a long time. He's never been married though. Iconically, he has one more child that was born in 2023, and he was like 3
years ago.
He was 83 when this kid was born, making him one of the oldest fathers ever. So
what a title!
Good job, Al. And then just a few other things. James Caan. As soon as I saw James Caan on IMDb, I knew he was in Elf. And then I couldn't pick him out in the movie. I think he looks nothing like old Walter Hobbs does in
the boss?
In Elf. He's the dad.
Oh.
Yeah, he's Walter Hobbs, the dad. I know. He looks nothing like him. So I actually had to confirm. I was like, wait, the same James Caan? It's not a common name.
It's another James Caan.
Right, exactly. But I went through his IMDb and they were both there. So he is Walter Hobbs, Buddy the Elf's dad in Elf. And he also is the guy in Misery. Brad, I know you're a Stephen King guy. So he is the guy that is tortured and put in the bed in Misery. And he said it was the easiest acting gig he's ever done because he was just in a bed.
Is that right? I thought that was another guy. I'm fact checking you.
Yeah, please.
The one with Kathy Bates?
Yeah.
Holy shit, that is him.
Oh my god, I'm so glad.
I haven't seen the movie in a while. I am a big Stephen King guy. And I know it's some white guy, but I just thought it was someone else. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. I don't think he looks the same in any stage of life.
No, yeah.
So when I saw that, I was like, I need to bring that up because Bradley, I'm sure, has Misery thoughts.
Sure do. Every day I wake up.
I brush my teeth with Misery. I eat Misery for breakfast.
Love Misery.
And then the only other thing is, it is very rumored, and I read a lot of articles that seem pretty legitimate, that while he was filming or studying to film The Godfather, he got to know a lot of actual mobsters and has legitimate ties to the mob. And I'm not going to bore listeners with it too much, but just know there's a lot of very convincing evidence out there to not fuck with James Caan.
Okay, I won't.
Okay. And then I want to touch on our 2 ladies of the film.
Sure.
Not Apollina, because we got to know her very well. But Diane Keaton, I just want to give a shout out. She's just iconic. She's done so much. She has just passed in October of 2025. She passed. And just, I feel like when a big actor or actress like that passes, you just see all these pictures of what she's done. You read a lot about her. She just seemed like a genuinely good human. I know her very well from The Family Stone. It's one of my favorite Christmas movies, and she's just like this sweetie mom, and that's just kind of what I get from her. And she is very well known for being Annie Hall and starring in a lot of Woody Allen films. She had a very close relationship with him. She was in Annie Hall in 1977 and won the Best Actress Oscar for that. So I wanted to give her a shout out. The last thing I want to say is Talia Shire, who plays Connie, who we will see in Godfather 2 and Godfather 3. So not to spoil anything about Godfather 2, but we will see her twice in a row. I looked into her credits and I was like, is she in anything else? She's really not in a lot of other things, but she is in Abbott Elementary. Only one episode, and it's actually the most appropriate episode. She is Melissa Chimenti's mom. In the Thanksgiving or
that's good casting.
Christmas one. Yes, I was literally like, that makes so much sense.
Oh my god.
Connie Corleone is Melissa Chimenti's mom.
I hope they bring her back. I want to see her again.
Does that not make the most sense ever?
Yes.
So Yeah, so I did have to go back and just look at like the casting, but when they cast that, they're like, "Oh, this is good." So, yeah. So well, I just wanted to bring that up. When I saw that, I was like, "Oh, Brad's gonna eat this for breakfast."
Yum 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 yum
yum yum yum yum
yum yum.
So yeah, that's all I got. Tell us a little bit about this Oscars. It seemed like a pretty eventful one.
It sure was. The 45th Academy Awards. This had a panel of hosts. It's been a while since we've had one of these. 4 people hosted this Academy Awards. We got the iconic Carol Burnett,
of course,
the iconic Michael Caine, the iconic Charlton Heston, and a guy named Rock Hudson. Who that's the only one I dug into because I'm like, that name is kind of familiar. I don't know who Rock Hudson is. Turns out he was like a closeted gay man who died. One of the first major celebrities to die in the AIDS epidemic in the 80s was Rock Hudson. So
I'm glad that he hosted.
Yeah, I love to shout out our queer leaders of the past.
Yeah.
And Clint Eastwood, our $1 million daddy, is here to present Best Picture. And he makes several like self-referential statements. Like when he's up there, he's like, I'm known for playing guys who say 10 words in movies. Like, why do you have me up here? Like giving out this award and saying these things. Like he just
is so self-aware.
Yeah. And apparently like Charlton Heston was like late to the Oscars. And so like Clint Eastwood had to like step in to like kick things off. And that's where he first was like, why am I the one having to do this? And then Charlton Heston like shows up and like saves Clint Eastwood from having to do anything more. But let's talk about the lesser half. You would think that The Godfather is like top daddy here tonight, big daddy of the night, winning everything. It's not. In fact, the first movie on the lesser half is Cabaret.
Oh, wow.
And Cabaret is actually the juggernaut of the evening. 10 nominations. It ties with The Godfather, although we'll get into that. And Cabaret takes home 8 wins.
Wow.
10 nominations, 8 wins. And it's actually a record for this number of wins and not get the Best Picture win as well.
Wow.
They win Best Director. Liza Minnelli is going to win Best Actress and wins a Best Supporting Actor, Art Direction, Cinematography, Film Editing, Scoring, and Sound. So huge night for Cabaret. It's amazing to me that The Godfather is such a bigger movie than Cabaret in like today's time. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I'm sure Cabaret is important to like theater kids. And the next movie I've also heard is Deliverance. Deliverance is sort of like this very violent, gory tale of men in the Appalachia, like being attacked by Appalachian men and a lot of terrible things occurring. So It had 3 nominations and 0 wins because fucking Cabaret. The next movie I have not heard, it's The Emigrants with the E, not the IM.
And that's when you return home, right? That's an emigrant. Oh, so you emigrate means to permanently leave one's home country or region to settle in another. And
you become an immigrant once you're in that place, I'm guessing.
It's like
you emigrate to become an immigrant.
It's the pretense verb of immigrate.
I can relate to this. While Carly's Italian over there, again, my whole father's ancestry came from Norway and settled in Minnesota and North Dakota, and that's a lot of where I have family, at least on my dad's side. So The Immigrants had 4 nominations and 0 wins because of fucking Cabaret. Then the last film is Sounder. I know this had like Diana Ross in it. It has 4 nominations and 0 wins because of fucking Cabaret.
Because of fucking Cabaret. That's just what we should title the episode.
So of the lesser half, only Cabaret and The Godfather win any awards of these 5 films, which is nuts.
Wow.
And The Godfather had 10 nominations. However, when the nominations were announced, The Godfather actually had 11 nominations, and one of them was revoked. And it was for the scoring of this movie. Because apparently the composer of this movie like sampled music from one of his other films. It wasn't like purely 100% original to The Godfather, the music that he used. So the Academy took it away and literally like bumped up the next person. So The Godfather ultimately has 10 nominations and has 3 wins. And again, compared to Cabaret's 8 wins here. The Godfather wins a Best Picture. It does win Best Actor for Marlon Brando. Despite the fact that he will decline it, he still won it, and it's not like it was awarded to anybody else. And then it wins an adapted screenplay, so this is one of the Oscar wins for Francis Ford Coppola. And then it loses Best Director, so Coppola does not win it there. 3 Godfather actors are in the supporting acting category. Al Pacino, James Caan and Robert Duvall, who played Tom Hagen, the advisor.
Yeah.
All three of them made up 3 of the 5 supporting actor nominations, and all 3 of them lose to
Cabaret. To fucking Cabaret.
It loses in costuming, editing, sound. And I did Google it. You know, a nomination being revoked like this has only happened 9 times in Oscars history. Let's just get into it. So, as you alluded to, Carly, Marlon Brando declines this Oscar. He is not present at the 45th Academy Awards. Instead, he sends a woman in his place to decline the award at the Oscars. This woman's name is Sachin Littlefeather, a Native American who, at this time, Marlon Brando, I guess, really big in activism for Native Americans in particular. And this was, him declining this Oscar was symbolic of that. And then he sends Sachin Littlefeather gives her a speech to read, basically, when they announce. And she goes up there, an activist of herself, and she basically says, like, hey, like, the speech is long for the sake of time. Like, Marlon Brando is going to decline this award. Here's the reasons why. As she's giving the speech, she is being both applauded and booed outright by the audience.
By the way, there is a whole video of this on YouTube, so go watch it.
She's booed, applauded, and for the rest of the night, like, people can't help but references. Like, when Clint Eastwood goes to present Best Picture, he was like, oh, we should dedicate this on behalf of all the cowboys out there. And just really awful shit. I did look into Sachin here. Who is this woman that Marlon Brando sent? She is no longer alive, but she did spend her life sort of as a Native American person herself from Mexico, and was an activist up until the day she died, until controversially it's found out she's not Native American at all.
What? Stop!
After she died, people looked into it, and her sisters were quick to come up and say, like, she claimed all these things and this ancestry, and none of it was true whatsoever.
It's like finding out Snooki's not Italian one bit. That is horrible.
It's a wild conclusion to a story, because in the meantime, this woman is like, in the years following, and probably for the duration of her life, she was like ridiculed, targeted for this speech. And you really have to look at Marlon Brando and be like, if you wanted to decline this award, you should have been there yourself and decline it. Instead, he did put this poor woman, who we're going to come to learn is a bit of a con man herself, apparently. Twisty turny of events, but he really impacted her life. And then turns out she had some secrets of her own where she's not actually Native American. And so, that was like a huge thing at this 45th Academy Awards. It's shocking. The Oscars response in the immediate was to change the rules so that you can no longer send a proxy to decline an award. And so now we see it as we see it today, where, like Sean Penn just recently, the presenter will accept it on your behalf, and there is no sort of proxy or anybody coming to accept it. Like, the presenter will just do it. So they really squash that.
That is interesting, because I was like, that doesn't happen. Like,
this is the last instance it did occur. So, and the Oscars, though, in the later years for Sachin, like, before she does pass away, the Oscars actually sends her an apology for the treatment of her and their initial response. And so later in her life, the Academy attempts to repair the harm, and then she dies and find out she wasn't Native American at all. So
every speech now is used as a platform, like this,
right?
And you can tell they were like, especially with Clint Eastwood mocking her, they're like, oh, like, we should dedicate this to blah blah blah. But now it's like, what is this person going to speak on when they go up? And for the most part, like, everyone uses it as this, like, political driver, because they have a second, they have a voice, and these people think that's what they want to use their 15 minutes of worldwide, speech for, which absolutely people can do that. So it's interesting that, what is this, 50 plus years ago, like, that was just, like, the most bizarre thing. And I mean, the way that they went about this was bizarre, but you're so right. I never thought of that, but, like, Marlon Brando can't have gone and just been like, hi, thank you, I'm not going to say this because I want to stand up for blah, blah, blah. Like, it was kind of a coward move of him. And I don't know if at the time he thought he was doing something by giving at what he thought was an actual Native American a voice and a platform, but, like, what a kind of a coward move of him to do.
It's like your heart was in the right place, but your execution was just off. Like, and like you said, like, and nowadays it's very common for people in their acceptance speeches to sort of shout out the cause that they're passionate about or whatever, or make some sort of political statement. We've mentioned before, and it's worth reiterating now, that the Academy just kind of famously apolitical. They won't really take a stance on any of these things, but they will allow performers to, in their speeches to say it. And so I think that's where Marlon Brando should have went up himself,
right,
and said, like, this is why I'm declining it, and for X, Y, and Z reasons. And perhaps he would have faced some criticism, right? Because that would, anytime you're sort of political like that, you're going to draw opinions, certainly. But yeah, I think this was just sort of misguided on his part to send this poor woman.
Especially, like, he's not an unknown actor. Like, he had so much name recognition, respect in the room, and for him to not use that was kind of bonkers. But
something else, I laugh about it now because when we did talk about The French Connection a year previous, that was the Academy Awards where Charlie Chaplin receives an honorary award and a 12-minute standing ovation, much to the ire of Carly Corio.
Nope.
And at this year's Academy Award, he got a 13 standing... I'm just kidding.
I was like, what?
Will receive an Oscar, his one and only Oscar win. Not just an honorary award, but an actual competitive award for a movie that was 20 years old. What? So you heard me correctly. It's 1973, and this movie that Charlie Chaplin, like, created, produced, starred, whatever, he made it back in the 50s, and it never was publicly shown until 1972, and so therefore it met the eligibility requirements of the Academy Awards, and he wins an Oscar.
What was the Oscar for?
It's obviously for Best Music. Original Dramatic Score.
Wait, Charlie Chaplin won that award? That's... okay.
Yeah. So a movie called Limelight, which was made in 1952.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
This Academy Awards, wild nuts, cuckoo caca insano.
A lot going on.
And there we have it. So
what a ride.
That was just one Godfather. And we're going to turn around and do it all over again with The Godfather Part 2. So yeah, I'm excited to see what Part 2 has to offer.
Yeah.
What a cool opportunity that both these films won Best Picture.
Totally.
With that said, it's time to go.
Brad, I love you.
Love you too, Carly.
Bye.